question for Sarah. In your research, were the bubonic plague vaccines including that, or even the PB tabs we were forced to take? Is any of that in there?
As far as which research?
Well, any of it, anything that you've kind of dug into, has that kind of surfaced as something that we need to think about holistically when we're going to our doctors, trying to educate them about what we've been exposed to?
Yes, I just wanted to say, from these articles, from the PACT Act, from these toxic screenings, them using the data correctly is giving us this information of proper screenings, of the need to do this EKG to prevent issues. And just like vaccines and other pharmaceuticals side effects, we need this information. And so, yes, Lisa, there is a way for our veterans to be more understanding of the toxic exposures they are potentially causing them chronic illness, and that's by doing a root cause analysis. And so I have sat down or on the phone with several other veterans doing the same thing that our War-Related Injury and Illness Study Center does with you for that week-long evaluation. Is they will evaluate your before, during, and after your military service potential exposures, and then they will compare that with your medical timeline to see where your path of cellular destruction is, and then from that go in and decipher what your potential root causes and which toxins have been exposed to cause these chronic illnesses. They have a Bible, a book of every single chemical in this world and how it presents in the body. And so there is a way to determine which chemical has done what cellular destruction, and then from there, how to properly treat it.
Right.
I think that whole concept sounds phenomenally great. Here's the problem. The problem is those of us that have already served and are out and understand how things work, those young-minded, those very young men and women, if they don't have one of us, if you will, oh, Jesus, that lipstick's killing me. if they don't have one of us to say, hey, keep a damn record, keep a physical record of everything, that information is going to get tossed to the side, especially if you can't prove it. Because the whole thing, I mean, it sounds great and it is great, but if you can't prove it, records, as we all know, just disappear.
Or catch on fire.
Or they never make it back out of theater or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, there's people I'm finding out now that can't even get the records. I'm like, the VA has them. No, they don't. Dude, I'm telling you, the VA has them.
No,
So
they don't.
Kevin,
They might have them. Whether they give them up to you is a whole other story.
Right.
And that's why
this is what I was talked about last night when I, for the round table, to the toxic exposure exams that Sarah was talking about. That was one of the issues they talked about. So that was basically my essential for calling in. As Tina was talking about, as far as your PB exposures, as far as taking your PB tabs, for us, that goes back to the Gulf War registry exam, whether you've had it or not. Try to get one of those today. But that's what I talked to when. So the PACT Act was signed in August of 22. I had my annual physical in December of 22. And that's what I was discussing with the guy on the line, and said, so the nurse said, do you believe you were exposed to environmental exposures or hazards? Yes. So she hands me a little slip of paper and says, okay, give this to your doctor. What's this for? She had no clue. The doctor had no clue.
Oh, yeah. The civilian doctors have no idea.
No, these aren't civilian. These are VA doctors. This is my VA physical. I don't know.
Most of them don't know themselves.
Yeah. So I asked the guy, when are these exams going to start? He's like, excuse me? Well, Sarah's saying there's already been, 5 million. Well, that's great. But I was like, so yeah. And I told him, my personal health care through the VA has been phenomenal. When it comes to my issues directly related to my service in the Gulf, it has sucked. And I told him, I go to outside sources, and I said, you guys have not done one iota for me. And that's where I understand what Sarah's saying. And it's not that I'm disagreeing with Sarah, but great. Let's do study after study after study. What are you going to do? What are they doing for you? What are they doing for us? They're not doing shit.
point.
And I can tell you that.
Hey,
Nothing.
Well,
I mean, you want to go to an NIH out here and sit here for 5 weeks and do their study, and the results are going to be out in 10 years? We're going to be dead in 10
we're gonna be
years.
dead by then, right?
Right.
Like, so we're not gonna be a
They're
burden
not.
on the
They
taxpayer
are not. This
anymore.
PACT Act is
You know?
crap. You know, the other thing they brought up is, like Kevin says, they're reevaluating different ailments. There's a guy called in about the blood pressure for hypertension. If it's over 160 over something, they can file for disability for hypertension. Well, and the guy said, well, a lot of veterans are starting to stop taking their blood pressure medicine so they can get it over that, so they can get their disability. Don't do that. You know, what are you doing?
right, right.
You know, if you served here and you file under the PACT Act and you're on blood pressure pills, that's what they're going to go back and reevaluate. They're going to give you disability. It's whatever. And the disability, that's what a lot of people who are filing for don't get. If you're on the PACT Act, you might get 0 rated disability, but now your medicine is free. That's what you're getting out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
In my opinion, the PACT
I'm
Act.
personally not looking for a pill. You
No.
know,
And
I'm
that was
looking
what I
for
was going to bring
a
up before.
relief, right?
All of our presumptives that we had Desert Storm go for signs and symptoms presumptives over here, but now we changed the rules, and now we have this over here. They forgot about all this over here. We changed the rules over here. Nobody is a bait and switch, and I said the Desert Storm veterans have been forgotten about.
Right.
You can test, you can draw all the blood and all the urine.
Intentionally, if you ask me.
And what are you going to do about it?
Okay,
Wade,
you brought up that subject that Desert Storm vets are forgotten about. So I had a guy come in today, and he was telling me about one of his guys that was in, fire department in Houston, and he's a Desert Storm vet, and he's like, he doesn't talk about it. I said, because it's forgotten. And I'm telling him all this stuff, like we're talking about tonight. And so he calls the guy up, walks outside, calls the guy up and says, hey, I got this guy that he does a podcast. You need to listen to it. And the guy tells him the same thing I do. And he's like, we're just forgotten about. And that's right, Wade, 100%. It isn't that we're forgotten about by the people. We're forgotten about because they don't make an issue out of it. They're not making an issue out of Desert Storm and the Gulf War vets. It's post 9/11. It's Vietnam. The in-between just got lost. And I just want to say this. I think this shade of red looks really good on me.
I was just going to have you tell Glenn, why don't you go ahead and just hand your dad some toilet paper, because it's really hard to take.
Yeah, we can't take you seriously looking like that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I lost the bet. I lost it fair and square. So what I'll do is I'll turn this right behind here. But it is true. Over.
Add another layer to what you just said, though. Maybe, and I'm just thinking out loud here, our generation, right? I mean, think about it. We're Gen Xers. We kind of came from a different vibe, different thing.
Yeah.
You didn't make a big deal. You sucked it up, Buttercup.
We got our ass beat.
So maybe some of this is just generational of how we are. We didn't complain. We just kept dealing with it, right? Until we just couldn't anymore, right?
Well,
and then we started figuring it out.
That's what I say. Personal accountability. I mean, John, you take care of yourself. Tina, you take care of yourself. Sarah's taking, and Kevin's doing it. I'm doing my own thing. We are not combined together. We help each other out, of course, but we are all off doing our own thing to take care of our own self. And that's what I said, personal accountability. What I see, and that's what's so frustrating to me, is I see a lot of vets, and sometimes I just got to walk away from Facebook. They want it handed to them. Well, no one's going to hand you anything. You have got to take care of it for yourself. And if you can't get the answers, you've got to keep going and do it yourself.
Yeah, be your own advocate.
Go ahead, lie down and die. I don't give a shit. I'm going to live. I'm going to still add a little bit more time to my life.
And Wade, I'm so proud of you, though. I'm so proud of you for doing this study, for quitting drinking. I mean, I'm really proud of you for doing all that,
As I figured.
knowing what the doctor, but I honestly believe the doctor is the doctor is the one that set you on that path of where
Absolutely.
you're at today. That one doctor saved your life. I don't care what
Absolutely.
anybody says. I mean, and so over and over in time that we all sit back and think about. I mean, I think about my time in the military. I mean, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I would do it again. I would never give up my shipmates. They are awesome. Till
Exactly.
today, I talk to almost all of them,
Mhm.
and they keep in contact with me. I help them out when they. I noticed a lot of us had the same similarities, either neurological, but a lot of them have headaches, and a lot of them have the fatigue is just really really bad. But
Mhm.
uh, and the fatigue, I I I can't tell anybody what to do out there because you're right. If you don't eat better, if you don't take care of yourself, you're really going to be fatigued.
But even if you do everything you can right, and I do truly try to do everything right. Like I eat organic, I eat, I grow my own food. I try to do everything, and that helps, but it's still there. It's
That's
still
right.
there dogging me, right? There's
Well,
just I can't
It's
imagine if I didn't where I would be,
well,
right?
well, that's the wonderful thing about all of us sharing what works for you, what works for me. Wade, Sarah, what works for each of us individually might help another veteran, it might not. And we're
Yep.
all looking for that one thing. We keep on building on something. Well, we've gone down a lot of, I've taken suggestions from all of y'all. And if it works for me, great. But most of the time, whatever it is that's working, it doesn't sustain for very long. And then our body adapts, and whatever's in the hell in our system, then it goes away. We're back to square one, and we're like, what the hell? You know?
A desert
Um,
cootie is in our system.
Right.
yeah,
That-
right? I mean,
I like that.
yeah.
You just coined a phrase. Holy
Desert
moly, did
cootie.
you just coin the phrase? Right there, desert cooties. You need to write that down, girl. I'm telling you, you coined it right there. And all the
Yeah.
VA does is slap a band aid on our head and say, guys, it's going to be okay. No, it's not.
And
We,
the thing is they're not even training them on Desert Storm.
Right.
They don't
they're
train
not.
them on
Well,
this at
because
all.
the doctor,
we have
the doctors are professionals. They don't have, including us, the ones that went through it. We're not. Most of us. I mean, Wade's got some
Well,
medical
their training
expertise.
is to dissuade us from
Well,
thinking this is attached. Like it's all this onesie, twosie, siloed. Oh, you're GERD. For me, it's like, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, you ate something bad. Oh, you did this. And it's like, whoa, no. 40 years of this is not this onesie, twosie stuff that is causing this, right?
I agree.
the
right.
that they did not put enough funding or potentially any funding into the PACT Act or our Go for Illness research since the 90s is the lack of medical education or specialty clinics for our specific toxic exposure patients.
Yep.
They should put more funding into medically educating not just our VA, but our outside source civilian clinics as
Bingo.
well. Will help our veterans, but it will help our civilians who have toxic exposure as well. These clinics, they put money into COVID long haul clinics for a minimum of patients. Not saying that they're not needed, but that is not a necessity for a large growing number of toxic exposed patients in multiple communities when everyone in every community can benefit from these toxic exposure specialty clinics. If we had just one toxic exposure clinic in every state with subject matter experts in those clinics, we would be able to take care of millions of patients, not just service members, veterans, but also civilians. If they educated our medical professionals on these toxic exposures, we would be in a much better place overall.
But in doing so, and I agree with you, Sarah, but you and I mean, you know how it works. It's just because that's our government. They're going to deny
Right.
until you can unequivocally prove them otherwise, which is it's difficult to do. And that's why for us, you know, oh, well, you're a Gulf War veteran and we can't seem to pinpoint what's wrong. We're just going to throw an undiagnosed illness on you. We're going to throw 0% at you for this or 10% at you. And, oh, you know, take that money and get the hell out of our face.
Well,
You know,
being
you're just a
undiagnosed is
number.
better than being diagnosed because they'll just throw a misdiagnosis at you and then it's not on the VA's list. So you're out of luck, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
to Sarah's point on the toxic exposures, one of the things that's going to be a problem with that, Sarah, is it's not our government. It's going to be corporations because then you're going to start fielding into our toxic food system in the United States, right? You're going to get into glyphosates, you're going to get into Monsanto, Bayer, all of that. And those
US
deep pockets, we're not going to win that one.
It's U.S. Congress's job to make sure that the FDA, the EPA, the CDC, and every other three-letter organization is doing their job correctly. As we, the people, as our disabled veterans, go to DC and demand and mandate that they do their job correctly, we will get them to do that job correctly, just as we have seen them do it in the past. Do you think your fellow Desert Storm veterans didn't feel that same way in the 90s? Look at how much we have accomplished just from the 90s, when they used to say, oh, Gulf War syndrome doesn't exist, it's all in your head. We have come so far.
That's true.
Pushing and pushing and pushing and fighting and fighting and fighting and demanding that they take care of us and not allowing our US Congress to do anything less.
But I'll tell you what else, though, that nobody has ever really thought about. When I first met Wade was a mess. When I first met John was a mess. When I first met myself, I was angry when I found out all the stuff. But ever since we all started connecting and talking and pushing the issues to get other vets to listen and to talk to one another, look how much our lives have improved. Look where Wade is today. Look where John. I mean, John wouldn't even come on the program in the very beginning. He's like, no, I'm not coming on the program. I don't want to talk about blah, 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 blah. You know how John is, you know.
Your old crotchety thing.
Yeah, he's all, old coat. You know what I mean? But the more and more that I meet vets and the more we talk and more we start sticking together, we accomplish one thing: happiness. We all start feeling a self of relief with each other that, okay, we're not alone in this battle.
No, I'm still pissed off.
I know you're mad, but you just, I mean, I'm still mad about it. But really and truly, there is a sense of relief inside of a vet that they're not alone and that they can talk. They got an outlet to go in.
It's not in our heads like
That's right.
The system's trying to make me think
That's exactly what I was going to say. None of this are in our heads. Maybe a little bit John, because he's going to have this lipstick in his head all freaking night long. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know, dude, but
I look pretty good.
I don't want to see that again. Just saying.
Yeah, next year I guess I'm going to have to wear a dress.
Oh, wow.
Without the
tiara.
lipstick.
How about a tiara?
A tiara.
But I mean,
yeah.
But like with Sarah, even though she wasn't there, she's experienced the same symptoms, but some may be different. Because Wade touched on a point earlier that I thought was very interesting. Because when I went into my primary care physician, Wade, I can honestly tell you 110%, I asked them about the Gulf War little registry, little paperwork, if you've been exposed to the burn pit pamphlet thing that you fill out. I said, you need me to fill that out? She goes, no, We already know you've been exposed. Okay, so what exactly have I been exposed to? Well, we're not sure. But we know you've been exposed. There's no need to fill it out.
You have a great primary care, because my primary care at the VA, she's married to a Desert Storm veteran, and because he doesn't have the issues, then the rest of us are nuts.
See, that is so messed up. He doesn't have any issues, so she just assumes the rest of us are crazy.
Yeah, we're just all bullshit.
No. He
No, I
doesn't
mean,
have any issues yet.
Dr. Moffat,
Well-
calling her ass out.
He doesn't have the issues yet.
I agree. So back to Sarah's point, I agree with you, Sarah. I do think there needs to be people. I'm just, and I agree that we have made, progress, but, like Tina was saying, I have to, you have all these big corporations. It isn't our political leaders that run this country. It's the big money corporations. It's the people with the deep pockets.
They influence everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not our. I mean, yes, okay. The commander in chief, he ultimately answers, and they can tell us just like our government does. Whatever news channel, and I've said this 1,000 times, whoever you choose to listen to, they just want you to believe what they're telling you. And back to this whole idea of taking our benefits or a portion of our benefits away to save money. There's a who was it? It happened to be Nikki Haley. On Tonight, I noticed one of her programs airing here in Iowa is stating that, hey, she's backing, the amount of money that would go into backing Ukraine out of our defense budget was like 3%. If you add, what's the other freaking thing going on? The other country that's having problems.
Israel.
Israel.
Israel. She says you add Israel into that. Now you're up to 5% of our total defense budget. And if you do something to protect our southern border, now you're maybe up to 20% of our total defense budget. 20%, and she didn't just say what the budget was. She just said his would be the percent. Okay, and so I'm thinking, what the monies that those of us who have been in whether we served in a war or not, or just suffer the consequences because of what they put in our bodies while we were in the service, that's minuscule compared to, I mean, they won't even take care of the homeless vets. They can't even take care of the people in only the largest country, in the world. I mean, the money thing is bullshit.
Though.
See,
that's where it is. We're not newsworthy. We're not splashy. We're not newsworthy. We're not the latest and greatest thing, right?
Hold on. I'm newsworthy, damn it. Look at this face.
It's easy to just relegate, like I said earlier, us to just a little data point, right? And when you're line item carving out this where we can save money, we're just a little data point, right? So we're not real people. We're not real issues. We're not respected or cared about on that level now by our fellow citizens.
Until you raise enough hell, until you get yourself noticed, and as long as you do it as a group.
The oil.
That's true. That's right. That's right.
But you gotta tread somewhat lightly, because if you're trying to do it on its own, either A, now I'm being really exaggerated here, but if you raise enough hell and then you're pissing up people off, you're either A, going to disappear, or B, you're going to lose your benefits and try and bloody hell to get it back. But if you go in as a group, like we all understand needs to happen, the masses are going to be acknowledged, and the masses is what we need, and which we all talk about. And so I'm going to go. You got to get this.
I have to say this.
Get the media involved, right? So you've got to get the message out there, but they're bought and paid for also.
But
right?
I need to ask y'all a question. Is it me, or am I the only one watching John getting a thumbs up every time he talks?
I see it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
What is up with that? Somebody's giving you thumbs up. They loving what you saying tonight. How come you ain't this bubbly every time we get on air? Is it my lipstick?
Is it your lipstick? Oh my God!
I'm just wondering. I've been watching everybody else on this screen, and nobody's got a thumbs up except for John. He's got like 20 of them. I don't quite understand it.
Outsourcing out there.
You know, John's got a fan club, and we don't have nothing. We got each other,
You
guys.
just lost control of your show, man.
I must have, you know what I mean? You know what though? No, I mean, honestly, that's the fun part about this show is we can still laugh at the end of the day. But remember, each and every one of y'all, as we're coming to the end of this show, I want to remind y'all one thing. Every day that you go out there, open the door for somebody, tell somebody they look pretty, tell somebody that I hope you have a great day. You will change their attitude from that morning till that nighttime, till the next day when you do it again. That's what I want. That's what I want people to do.
I
Look,
like that. That's good.
that's right.
Especially the
Good. That's-
women.
yeah.
We need
We're-
to lift each other up instead of tear each other down.
We're coming close to Christmas, the birth of Christ. But let's give the gift of giving to each other, of you know, be nice to humanity. Open the door for people. Tell people have a great day. You know what? If somebody looks good in lipstick,
I know that I'm going to send you.
I
I
just
should
need
send
you
you
to
a
stop.
new box of lipstick so you have it to wear next year, Kevin. So I should pre-wrap it now and just get it in the mail so you have a good assortment, and so you can wipe some off and put a new shade on each like 10 minutes.
look,
Wouldn't that be
next
unique?
time I'm calling the
I could do
Navy.
without it.
Next year, I'm calling up to the college, and I'm going to tell them, look, y'all better get your butts in gear because I'm never doing this again because my
You
lips
better watch
feel
what kind
really
of lipstick
weird.
You got. You might have a toxic exposure there. A lot of chemicals
geez.
in
That's right.
cosmetics.
I bought the cheapest one. Oh no, I did. I bought the cheapest one.
You know, I'm a ginormous smartass, and every time this evening, Kevin, when you were trying to be serious, and I know you're being serious, and it was good success.
I
It was
saw you
really hard for
laughing.
me not to start laughing at your ass.
And look, and nobody give you a thumbs up for that. Thank goodness. But guys, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for listening. Sarah, I'm glad you were able to get in. Even though you came in late, it's still awesome that you got in. Tina, Wade, and John, it's always been a pleasure. We're going to go into the after show now. So and all you listeners, y'all have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you next week.